Marvel Rivals launched with a massive array of heroes from day one, giving the players a chance to vary their gameplay choices and play as the heroes that they love. As extensive as it is, however, there are still so many fan favorite characters that all of us fans would love to see, and so I wanted to speculate which heroes could be next and the kind of abilities that they would have. If you don't want to listen to the abilities and only want to know the heroes, here are the timestamps for each one. Spoiler, the best is at the end.
The Human Torch.
The fact that none of the Fantastic Four are in Rivals is an absolute tragedy. And maybe it's because I'm biased toward my favorite member, or maybe it's because he's just the flashiest of the bunch and the Flash is exactly what Rivals is all about, but Johnny Storm is perfect for this game. From his personality to his abilities, Human Torch would be an addition I would lose my shit over. Johnny's kit would operate similar to Iron Man's, with Johnny's primary attack being Fire Blast that would do splash damage and leave a blanket of fire on the ground for 3 seconds or so. However, unlike Iron Man's Pulse Blast, Johnny would do less damage supplemented with a burn debuff that could be stacked to achieve a damage over time effect. His secondary attack could charge a large fireball to create a wider area of effect and more damage. Should an enemy have the burn debuff in effect, Johnny does more damage to them. Johnny could also possess a large area of effect attack, releasing a large explosion from his body outward in a radius. The explosion has a charge factor. The longer it's charged, the wider the area of effect and damage. Johnny's movement would, again, be similar to Iron Man's in that it would be exclusively flight and hovering. However, his flight would have a boost mode, taking the gauge down considerably faster if used and leaving a trail of fire behind him which can debuff enemies and cover zones. I wonder what Johnny's ultimate would be.
Johnny! Supernova! I thought we agreed that was bad! Now!
Alright, it's obviously the Supernova, one of my favorite moves in all of comic books. In the game, Johnny would fly into the air and unleash a firestorm from above, similar to Pharah's ultimate from Overwatch. However, Johnny's would be much larger scale, somewhat of a mixture between Storm's ultimate and Moon Knight's ultimate. I imagine he has a radius of effect where he flies around in a circle and continuously lets out barrages of fire raining down into that radius. Similar to Storm, he could control the direction of this area. However, Johnny will be vulnerable and relatively easy to hit during this animation, so it would have to be timed well. But if done so, this attack should be devastating to the enemy team.
Cyclops.
Alright, this one is another personal favorite pick, but Cyclops would be so fun in a game like this. And yes, I know Scott is technically a strategist, but to put him into a game like this and not give him awesome damage output would be an absolute shame, so Duelist he is. So Cyclops' main form of damage is fairly obvious. It would be a medium range optic blast, probably a few bursts to form a moderate combo. He would have an alternate fire similar to Iron Man's Unibeam, however more long range and less damage with a slight slow effect for concussive effects. As a zoning ability, Scott would be able to release a short burst of optic energy forward in a cone and push back anyone in front of him, similar to Hawkeye's Sword Slash. And as a final special ability, Scott could fire off an optic beam that ricochets off of enemies within proximity to one another, similar to Cap's throwing shield, just for a little bit of pizzazz. Cyclops' movement is one of the most unique in the entire Marvel Universe, as Scott uses the concussive force from his optic beams to zip around the battlefield. Similar to Rocket's dash, but with more charges, ability to chain back to back, and also similar to Ash's stagecoach from Overwatch, where he goes in the opposite direction of where he is looking. This maneuverability could make for some really awesome plays once people got a hold of it. In my opinion, Cyclops' ultimate is the same across all of the multiverses.
You'll never hurt my family again! Behold, optic blast! Mega optic blast! KO!
A huge, ongoing optic blast that does unbelievable damage and has a larger radius than his normal blast. It could even be cool in the animation if Scott removes his visors for an extra dramatic effect, but it would have an effect similar to that of Iron Man's ultimate, but perhaps a little bit more widespread. Blade. Blade is a fan favorite and is considered a grandfather character of bringing superheroes into mainstream popularity. Not to mention, his style would be phenomenal add to the Rivals design roster. Blade's primary fire would be a high damage throwing stake similar to Kiriko's shurikens from Overwatch. His melee would be fairly effective and utilize his sword, making him formidable at close range. As an alternate ranged option, Blade would have mid-ranged automatic pistols that fire repeatedly on a timer and cooldown. Blade would then be able to use this while utilizing his mobility. Blade would also have an ability utilizing his vampirism, allowing him to bite his surrounding opponents when at melee range and take a portion of their health for himself, along with increased movement speed and causing bleeding damage. If Blade secures a kill using this ability, his senses activate for 5 seconds, allowing him to hear and smell the heartbeats of his enemy players and see their silhouettes through the walls. Blade would have agile movement, allowing for wall climbing and horizontal traversion. Off the wall, Blade would have one double jump to use, similar to Black Panther. Blade would also have the ability to turn into mist for a short time, giving him increased movement speed and intangibility, similar to Reaper's Wraith form. Blade's ultimate would give him the ability to turn into a large black wolf, as we see in the comics, giving him increased HP, durability, and damage. In this form, Blade can lunge at his enemies and tear them apart with ferocious damage and bleeding debuffs.
Nightcrawler.
In terms of character design, it almost feels like Nightcrawler was made to be in this game. From his edgy costume to his supernatural powers, zipping across the battlefield as Nightcrawler would be a dream. Nightcrawler is a perfect Duelist style and would most likely play as more of Star-Lord or Tracer character. He would be fast, agile, and have multiple charges to his teleportation in order to sneak into the backline, get his kill, and get out. As Kurt does not possess any ranged abilities, he would be a melee-only character possessing various melee abilities. I would imagine his primary attack would be a sword/slash combo using his iconic saber. This can be supplemented with a special zoning tail whip attack, and this attack could be used to do damage and stun enemies. As teleportation is Nightcrawler's main form of transportation, he would have two versions of it. The first would be something similar to a Tracer Blink or Star-Lord's Dodge, where Nightcrawler can move short distances in order to avoid damage and reposition, but preferably with a bit more control, almost like a short Moira Fade from Overwatch. I would love for this ability to have at least 4 charges, as it is his main resource, and for it to work omnidirectionally, meaning it would be great if he could teleport up onto walls and in any direction that he would really want to go. The key would be to make sure Nightcrawler is not just zipping around, but has real control over the space that he actually operates. Along with his short teleport, he could have a longer teleport, similar to Doctor Strange's portal, but with a shorter range, and a limit of 0 or 1 person to accompany him. Once he exits this long teleportation, undoubtedly with a longer cooldown than his short teleportation, it would be cool for him to go camouflaged for a time, as that is an ability he has and would fit his assassin build perfectly. Nightcrawler's ultimate should be special and badass. Going back to what I believe to be his most badass moment, correcting Logan on his math.
Why resist the inevitable?
Lady, I got 6 reasons why.
No, mein Freund. Nein.
He should whip out his 3 scimitars and put out some amazing slashing damage output. During this phase, he could have the ability to teleport around with no cooldown.
Deadpool.
And saving the best for last, we have Deadpool. This is perhaps the most obvious of any character. We need Deadpool in this game, as no Marvel universe is complete without the merc with a mouth. Deadpool's base damage would be a fluid combo with his dual-wield katanas, as he would be a melee character. He would have ranged options, however, with an alternate ability that allows him to whip out his dual-wield golden pistols and do less damage than his swords, but at range. These pistols would have a special ability as well, a close-range burst, where he riddles his enemies with close range shots and does big damage. He would also have a forward slash ability similar to Wolverine's. However, whatever damage this attack does, Deadpool takes for his own HP to heal or receive bonus health. This slash could be used omnidirectionally for mobility purposes, not damage related, but Deadpool would also have a passive regeneration when out of combat. On top of this, he should also regain a small portion of his health or bonus health per kill received. Deadpool's mobility would be similar to that of many agile characters. He would have the ability to double jump and to run horizontally across walls, giving him high mobility for surprise plays. His ultimate would have to be something very fun and over the top. So what I'm thinking is a little out there, but it would be hilarious. Bear with me. When Deadpool has his ultimate, he can hit an enemy with a charged baby knife from ranged.
This is Baby Knife. She's gonna fuck you in the face now.
If the baby knife lands, Deadpool will instantly grab that player. He will transport and instantly grab that player and use them as a human shield. This animation will have a 5-second timer where Deadpool continuously gains HP. The enemy team must then shoot at him, but damage and kill their own teammate as fast as possible to avoid Wade building up max HP. Once the timer is done, or the enemy hostage has been gunned down, Wade has considerable HP, damage resistance, and increased speed for a short duration to flurry on the battlefield. This duration would vary based on how quickly the hostage died. Something like this would be so funny, it would fit his character perfectly, and it would be very unique compared to what we see from Ultimates in other games and even this game. You guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you have stuck around this long, this game is amazing and I am having a blast playing it and making content. Looking forward to making more in the future. As always, stay frosty, my friends. I will see you on the next one.